a lot of the energy from November 6th onwards. So I think you've made it just in time to receive some of those activations. I'm getting both of these set up. Okay, I think it's okay. Notification. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this was a really special this is a really special transmission today because I will be covering the past few days. I will be covering the Moon Day and the Mars Day, and of course it's Mercury Day today. So I'll be covering all those days as well, and then going forward with it, so that we can backtrack a bit and then also move into the future, because I know that I was not able to do a live stream or a reel for the past few days, but it's all truly in flow, honestly. And I'm happy that I can just come down from the high heavens or at this moment to share these insights with each and every one of you all. So again, I wanted to first just do a check-in. I know there's community over on Instagram. Hi, Danny. Welcome, love. Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, I am also going live on YouTube as well. I'll go pin that link. And on Instagram also, so I'll pin that link from Instagram over on YouTube. But it truly is a really powerful and witchy Wednesday. There is some magic coming in from the moon being right now in conjunction with the ancestors of witches and witchcraft and magic in that way. It's really beautiful because there's a lot coming through with them being online, and then also with the Fayerie now being online as well. This new alignment, the 2023 Age of the Fayerie, has just begun today. So there is so much magic coming through, whether you get it on the more witchy side of things or the more fairy side of things. There is enough kind of to go around for everybody to receive some sort of boost or insight from the magical realms that be. So I hope everyone can be open to those streams that are flowing through right now through the moon and through Star Center, through the Fairy Dominion. I do, of course, have a few notes to speak on today, just kind of in alignment with the energy of this Wings and Witches Wednesday. I really wish I was wearing my necklaces, though. I have a Taurus necklace, I got my amethyst that I've been wearing recently, but last night I was called to take them off before going to bed, and in my dream, actually, I was sitting on a blanket outside, kind of in like a forest or a field, and I left my necklaces on the blanket while we were wrapping up the blanket. And eventually, a friend of mine who owned the blanket had to go, and I mean, they didn't have to, but they went back to I don't know, go find it or something, and they brought them back to me. So they are here, they are in my field energetically, but they are just not on me right now. It's okay. Hopefully you are all wearing your gems and your crystals and your stones and feeling connected to the energies of nature and of the earth and of the cosmos, because of course all those stones, all those crystals, all those gems, metals, and so on and so forth generally came from the cosmos as they made their way into this planetary sphere. And of course, our Earth body is a celestial body in its own right. So there's a beautiful connection between the stones that we wear and the stars always. And so, of course, as I mentioned in my previous live stream, this past Moon Day, November 6th, now known as Momo's birthday, was the final day of 2023's Age of Nymphs, Fauns, Satyrs, and also Tritons. So there was a really powerful portal closing out the energy of these nymphs, of these truly intergalactic beings. Like, nymphs have a power that we can't really fathom. They are able to transition between states of beingness. Some are more goddess-like, some are more witch-like, some are more enchantress-like, some are more just simply nymphs. But they all, have a connection to the elements. They're really elemental beings, but they also have a deep connection to the sun and the moon and the stars. And so it's really incredible to, receive some of the magic of nymphs at this time, or throughout this planetary period, on November 6th planetary period. And so it was really nice to be able to close out with them on that day, on the first day of this planetary period. We actually got a visitation from the nymphs as the final ones of the age of 2023's Age of Nymphs. So I felt like we left this beautiful age on a really high note, you know. Hey, Luke, waving to you. But I feel like we left this Age of Nymphs 2023 on a really high note because the muses are just so iconic, right? You know, so many poets throughout history would invoke the muses in their connection to art and to poetry and to mythology. And the muses in their own right are cover so many of what we study nowadays in classical liberal arts spaces, you know, whether it's the arts or science or music. The nymphs have a really broad range of skills and powers and dominions, right? Domains, really. They watch over so many aspects of creation. And I just really, truly love nymphs for all that they do. And specifically, or especially the muses, I feel like they have just a really powerful place to play in the construction of things, in the building of life, construction of life. And if we can really see how big of an effect that the muses have had on society or on poets and artists and so on and so forth, then we can also hopefully relate to the energy or the power that nymphs in general have had over society or people and time and space, right? Of course, I could go on and cover all the nymphs that we recognize in celestiallography, but it wouldn't even be able to cover all of them, really. You know, there's just so many. They're multiplicitous, and even with Oceanids, who started out the portal for the Age of Nymphs, the final portal for the Age of Nymphs, last planetary period, guiding into Moon Day on Monday. I love, wow, love you, Momo Moon. It was also just really incredible because, you know, in mythology, the Oceanids are recognized to be the 3,000 daughters of Oceanus and Thetis, and this number was, you know, originally conceived to be almost innumerable. Like the 3,000 was like, oh wow, this is like as big as like we can get kind of thing. And so it's really incredible to see that they have this multiplicitous presence, and they're just so expansive. They cover so many ranges of things and beings and embodiments, and it's lovely. I love you. Sending you kisses and love and so much light always. So as we completed the portal, again, of the final days of the Age of Nymphs 2023, the Egyptian gods and the winged cosmic dragon lords were actually able to come online as we transition out of this final portal for the Age of Nymphs. And that was really incredible as well, because the Egyptian gods have been a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful reincarnating force over the past few weeks now, over the past few planetary periods. And so it's incredible to see them kind of taking up root and really making themselves apparent and present. It's not always the case that the gods come online so prevalently, and so it's incredible to see how they have had an effect just on the mass global consciousness and helping us at this moment reincarnate, rebirth, even redeath, you know, right? Lose parts of ourselves and let go and release parts of ourselves so that we can expand into higher states of being. And so the first of the Egyptian gods that actually came online through this portal from November 6th to November 10th, which was Moon Day to Fayerie or Venus Day. These nymphs that came online, these Egyptian gods that came online, the first of the first of their pantheon, were Shu and Tefnut. And Shu and Tefnut are basically the Progenitrixes of the Ennead, the 9 gods of Egyptian mythology. Hi, Anahita. Of course, you come online when I'm talking about the Egyptian gods. Welcome, love. Hi, dear. I'm also again streaming live on YouTube as well. I pinned the link on both spaces, so feel free to check me out over there. But also, if Instagram is just more casual for you, I know with YouTube you can kind of play it and then leave it on the background and kind of go places. I know Instagram is like you have to stay on the screen the whole time. So whatever is easier for each and every one of you, want to make sure that everyone has the space and the freedom to flow and go where they'd like. But again, just talking back about the Egyptian gods, it was really incredible to see Shu and Tefnut come back online and be the first of their pantheon to incarnate this time, because they did something such as so a few planetary periods ago, actually, and they are, again, really, they're powerful beings, right? They are the progenitrixes of their pantheon. I mean, really of the Ennead, of course, but they are these gods of wind or air and of moist air, right? Shu is the god of air, and and he actually separated both his daughters and his son, Nut and Geb, who went on to have the gods Isis and Nephthys and Set and so on and so, and Osiris, of course. Oh, yay! Congratulations. I don't have my contacts or glasses, so I'm like leading in to read what you said. Yes, oh my God, congratulations. I love that you just started your YouTube, Momo. That's incredible. Yeah, it's, for me, I really just have it as an archive to support my Instagram community. And I know that hopefully one day I'll be able to expand to places like TikTok and all the things, right? But this right now is what feels best. And hopefully, again, I'll be able to expand someday soon. So I love that you are getting on your social and digital and virtual platforms, coming further online, showing the people your magic in all the ways that you can. That's truly a blessing. Again, really happy birthday, happy birth week. Love this for you. This is so incredible. I'm so thankful that you get to grace us with your presence today. It feels like a blessing. I feel very, very thankful to receive all of your magic and your light. You are such a force. I miss speaking to you. If you want to even come online and come on, like we can share the live stream or whatever, feel free to come online as well. I would love to hear from you in that respect, and just hear your voice again. I definitely miss hearing your voice, and you were such a gem and such a light in my life. So thank you for being here. Love you, love you, love you. And definitely send me your YouTube link as well and your YouTube channel. I'll follow back, of course, and subscribe. So I'm so excited to see you there. Again, as I was speaking about the Egyptian gods, Shu and Tefnut, they are the Progenitrixes of the Ennead, the 9 gods of the 9 core gods of Egyptian mythology. And the Ennead, gosh, I wish I could cover all of them right now. If I could think it's Ra, Shu, Tefnut, that's 3, Nut, Geb, that's 5, Osiris, Nephthys, Set, and Isis. I think that's 5. Yeah, I think that's the 5. Of course, we think about Horus or Horus and Het Heru, right, in his Kemetic name. But he's actually, I don't believe, part of the Ennead. So, he was the generation after, right? It was Shu and Ra's first, and then Shu and Tefnut after them, and then Nut and Geb, and then Nut and Geb had Osiris and Isis and Set and Nephthys. And sometimes we are also recognizing them having had Horus the Elder as well, as Horus has these 2 forms, both as the elder and as the younger. Hi, High Priestess Ibkun. Welcome, Space. Welcome to the space. Welcome to Wings and Witches Wednesday. Happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I love that they are coming online, the first ones of their pantheon to even come online in this planetary period, because they set the tone, right? They're like, okay, we're the Progenitrixes. We are the first of our line, right? Our line of gods, our line of deities. And so we are here to watch over. We're here to play a very protective role, but we're also here to expand the consciousness, the collective consciousness, and make sure that everyone, because they also are embodiments of air, right? Air and moist air, which is so important, because if it's just like dry air, I mean, I know how y'all do in LA, but if it's just dry air all the time, sometimes things can get a little stuffy, right? We need a little bit of the moist air. We need a little bit of the humidity, especially in a place like Egypt, right? A complete desert. We would need some moist air to make sure that we can actually function, right, without having to get so bogged down by the density of such hot air. So I love that these 2 have come online to set the tone for their pantheon, because they are allowing us to embrace our highest, most ethereal selves, right? Again, the mythology with Shu is that he actually separates his daughter Nut, who is the goddess of the sky, the mother goddess of the sky, to breath. I love you. Breath work. Do y'all breath work, y'all. Like, so key. And he separates his daughter, Nut, who is the goddess of the sky, more specifically the night sky, and Geb, who's the god of the earth or the planet, because they were in love with each other, and then they end up birthing these children. But he keeps them apart. He divides the spaces of the heavens and the earth. And what does that better than air or the atmosphere, right? We could also think of Shu as an embodiment of the atmosphere, keeping these realms separate or distinct from one another, so that they kind of don't bleed too much into each other, so that they don't kind of crashing down into one another, because that could be in some ways quite destructive, right? Like, we wouldn't want ourselves to be we wouldn't have it come crashing down. It's giving what was that movie, Chicken Little when he's so freaked out about like the skies are falling, the heavens are falling, da, da, da. So the atmosphere, Shu, the air keeps the spaces, those domains, those realms, the celestial and the terrestrial, quite separate from each other, so that they can, obviously see and experience one another from their different states of reality. But excuse me. So, but they also have a state of like distinction, right? They're not supposed to be too intermingled with one another, because how else then could we recognize their nuances and the beauty between them, right? If they were too crashed or colliding with on and upon each other, then they might we would not be able to truly notice the beauty of the heavens or the beauty of the earth and the planet that we live on and that we step on and we walk on each and every single day. So yeah, I definitely think Shu has a really powerful role to play in this entire, pantheon and the entire Egyptian mythology. And then, of course, if we think about just the Egyptian pantheon or the Egyptian gods as a whole, air, and then, of course, moist air and the embodiment of Tefnut are just really important forces. Like, if there was no air blowing in the desert, oh my God, people would be passing out. There would be no we couldn't breathe, exactly as Ennead had said. Like, you would not be able to breathe. We would not be able to come into our most peaceful selves with all the states of reality that align or move and shift and transit and orbit around us. We would just have to find some other way to create that peace. And just jumping into the Nile River isn't really going to do it, because it is again a river, and a river flowing down through desert and sand. It's pretty murky river, so to speak. So it wouldn't always be the nicest just to jump in the river to find peace and to find clarity. Being able to just do that through meditation and taking in the air itself, it could be really helpful. And because the dragon, the winged cosmic dragon lords and the Egyptian gods have been in conjunction with each other, had come online with one another on Moon Day after the Age of the Nymphs, and come offline. And they set the they kind of set the tone for the next few days. This was really on Moon Day and then Mars Day, and earlier today as well, this Mercury Day, because they were the only two celestial centers that were online. So all the other Claire centers that were around them allowed a lot of focus to be left on them, but then also created the space for us to find time to meditate, find time to seek solace and serenity and peace within oneself, because the rest of this planetary period is a pretty high, vibrational, pretty high, highly active planetary period. So there's a lot going on, and they, this meditative space that they created just by the two of these celestial centers being online at that time really made it so that we could have a greater and a grander connection with the all. Just meditating and diving in deeply to those two celestial centers, we didn't have to think of too much about XYZ that was going on in the mind, or XYZ that was going on at night, or XYZ that was going on during the day. Like, we could just simply sit in self and sit in center and dive deep into our source, dive deep into our sources, and find out or discover, rediscover, how our source is, how our source of connection with the cosmos and the gods, and et cetera, and so on, have a relationship or are in relation to the Egyptian gods themselves. So I hope everyone was able to do some of that connection. They're also, again, still online until November 10th as well. So if you still need to dive deeper into the, I want to say the source and the real sacred relationship that you have with source, there's still the time and the opportunity to do that until November 10th, and then they come offline, and then they come back online in another form. So I'll talk about that in a moment. Hi, love. Oh my gosh, welcome. I'm so happy that you got to tune in. I know earlier I was going to do it like 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I felt like that would have been too late for all of my UKers. So I'm so happy that you get to be here now and tune into this live stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sending you so much love. Again, I'm also streaming live on YouTube as well. So if you would like, feel free to tune in on there as well. If you would like to, bounce around a bit, and not just stay too on Instagram, you can also check it out on YouTube, and all the spaces are available for you. So yeah, I was saying, really that Shu and Tefnut were the guiding god and goddess for their entire pantheon, and their incarnation for this Moon Day until November 10th. And then I'll skip a bit to the future because I did mention it. On November 10th, when the source center goes offline and for a few hours, I think like four or so hours, and then it comes back online, there is a new guiding god or guiding deity for the Egyptian pantheon that comes online, and that's actually Osiris. So it's funny because I was talking about the Nile earlier. Wait, today's your dad's birthday, Anita? Today's my brother's birthday. I don't know if you heard me mention that earlier, but I love that. We were all so divinely connected. Or November 10th is your dad's birthday. There's so many Scorpios in our lives. The 10th. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, it was like, who's coming up on the 10th? Because I know I had family members from the 22nd to the 25th, I believe, to the October 31st to the 3rd, now the 8th. And so I was like, who's coming up next? And you, of course, your father. I love that. So wishing him an early happy birthday, always. But yeah, so on the 10th, actually, so while the Egyptian pantheon comes offline for a few hours, just like under 4 hours, they reincarnate later that day in who else or who better than the god Osiris, who is really the god or the deity, the divine force of reincarnation as a whole, right? Like Osiris is the embodiment of reincarnation. He is the embodiment of the other world, the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, the lord of the underworld, the lord of the other world. And so it's really incredible that he comes online, especially on Faye Day, on Venus Day, when there is all this other energy kind of like fluttering through the day, that he really allows us to dive into those final notes of what it takes to be reborn or to be born again, to come back into ourselves and to find that space, find those spaces in which we can feel the most liberated, feel the most sovereign, feel the most empowered, right? It's really like the soul expression of our reincarnative body, our rebirth and our death. Osiris really embodies, integrates with that energy, with him being, I think he's online for about 11 hours on Faye Day, on Venus Day. So he's creating this portal of, well, as a guiding god, he's creating the portal of rebirth, reincarnation, but also finding our power within quote unquote darkness or perceived darkness, right? Because actually at this time, and I'll speak about this a little bit later, but because at this time, the fairy dominion is online really powerfully, and so is the lunar center. There's a lot of energy kind of flowing down from the heavens and flowing down from the cosmos, and it can make space for, or it can make space for just darkness to appear, like because there's so much light kind of coming through, it can make the space for our shadows to appear, right? If we're standing out of the day or even at night under the moon light, there is an opportunity for our shadows to appear really poignantly, really powerfully. And it's, as they create the space for this, Osiris says, well, you can look at your shadow here before you that the stars and the moon have created for you, and for you to see in bright array and bright colors. But you don't have to be scared of it. You can embrace it. You can love upon it. You can own it. You can embody it. You can integrate with it. And by doing so, you can end up eventually actually becoming the lord of an entire new realm, an entire new dominion that we may have not believed needed ownership or rulership, but it always does. Our soul's expression, our subconscious mind, right? Our inner knowing, our intuition, etc. These spaces, they do require a sort of sense of rulership or reigning over. If we don't have control over our soul's expression, if we don't allow our soul to express itself, and if we don't almost release the reins upon our soul's expression and our subconscious mind, if we just try to keep it boxed in, or again be afraid of what the powers of our dreams and our imagination and our fantasies have in store for us, then we can ultimately are losing touch with a great deep well within inside of ourselves, a great deep watery, very fluid aspect of ourselves that otherwise would be again, flowing very poignantly, very abundantly, would be overpouring, right, between this realm and the next, between our subconscious mind and between our conscious mind, between the realm that we perceive in our inner realms and between the realms that we see in our outer realms. So again, Osiris as a guiding god for just about 11 hours, on November 10th, Fayday Venus Day, is reminding us that even in the light of our shadows, we can still find space to embrace and integrate and embody our darkness, right, quote unquote, or those parts of ourselves that we might fear or that we might still have fear or cautiousness towards. He reminds us that we no longer have anything to fear, that we can truly just simply embrace our embodiment, our life, right? The life that we've been given, our life force energy. And by doing so, we create an opportunity for us to reign over the realms of soul expression, the realms of expansion, that are so associated with water and, again, the subconscious mind, and also, again, our dream state and our imagination as a whole. So I would definitely recommend tuning into the Osirian frequencies come Venus Day, come Friday, as he will be here to guide us through the portals of the energy. But then even on like a more feminine side, there's a goddess named Nu, who, because this is really coming up right now as well, and I didn't note her down, but of course she's still coming out because earlier in this conversation we did talk about just almost the difference between finding space and peace within the air and within the atmosphere, and then finding space and peace within like something like the Nile River. But the goddess Nu, she also is here and a guiding goddess to the guiding god that Osiris is, and of course her domain is the Nile River as a whole. So as we allow ourselves to expand and to flow into these portals, I guess it's for people that may not have had the opportunity or may not have felt as comfortable going into the atmosphere, going into the air, going into like the breath work. You can find that portal and those portals on November 10th, on Fay Day, on Venus Day, to go through water, go through soul's expression, go through our subconscious mind, go through our imagination, go through our fantasies, go through our dreams, and really do that memory recall, dream memory recall, and figure out those things that are recurring within our dream state, those patterns that may come up and make themselves manifest, so that we can navigate our dream world and our watery realms with clarity, right? We don't have to be as detached from our watery selves or watery spaces in our soul. We can actually embrace and embody them. And by doing so, we can have a fully encompassed way of living, right? A way of expressing our most livable lives, right? The lives that ask for us to live them most fully without being afraid or shamed to do so. Dive deep on Friday, on Venus Day, on Fay Day, dive deep into those waters and find the space for you to soar, right? To expand, to express, your deepest nature, your most inner nature, the one that maybe you don't share with everybody else, the one that you keep to yourself, because again, it is sacred, of course, but that if by doing so, maybe just sharing it one day with anyone else, you create an opportunity for others to see how they could do something like that for themselves. And I believe that has so much power. I believe that creates an opportunity with unperceivable ramifications. You get to expand ultimately into the consciousness, into the affective fields, and you could really, there's really a small possibility for us to have an awareness about how many leaps this goes, how far this expands. You just simply have to do it and show others how you do it so that they could probably do it for themselves in their own ways. But simply live that truth, live in your truth, and live in your soul's expression this Friday, this Venus Day. I'm really looking forward to that day because we are in this really beautiful portal of this planetary period. I would say the most defining feature of this planetary period is the manifestation of the Fayerie. As today, Mercury Day, Wings and Witches Wednesday, we begin the 2023's Age of the Fayerie. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful embrace. This magic that the fairy bring through are so lightweight. Like, it is an energy that we may not even be able to fathom in our, lived or expressed reality. They've been able to survive, persist and remain online or remain within our collective consciousness for years, the fairy, and taken so many forms to be able to do so until they finally received their wings and just took flight. And now our most, I forgot the term, but the most, recurring image that we have in our collective consciousness of fairies or of Fayerie are the fairy with wings, right? At this present now moment. That wasn't always the case. And so the fairy have really taken over ownership and dominion over the fairy dominion as a whole, over supernatural beings as a whole. And now we get to really embrace their energy as 2023's Age of the Fairy begins today. So I'm really excited because I love fairy energy. Honestly, fairy energy contrasts me so beautifully. I embrace it. I recognize how many leaps we've come to get to this point, and it feels so expansive whenever I get to recognize the fairy energy in my life, those individuals who have the fairy within them, that flutter around me, that flutter throughout me, that flutter within me, that inspire me to fly. Again, the fairy coming through so strongly right now. I'm so thankful. I felt like I've been waiting for this because, obviously I kind of came up with, what I came up with, channeled, received these insights from source within the past few months, past year. And so it's all really new to me. I believe, I can't even remember. Maybe like the age of 2023's Age of the She was probably the first one that I really came into consciousness about, which was earlier this year. And really in direct contrast to the Age of the Fairy as well. However, I have not been able to consciously, I can feel them fluttering around me. I have not been able to consciously embody or integrate with or recognize and draw my awareness to the presence of the fairy in such a form. Of course, I have been able to recognize like the fairy beings within my life, the supernatural beings that exist within my life naturally, and that's been a blessing already because I'm like, wow, okay, like you guys are here for me, you guys support me, you guys have fluttered around me, and I've been able to embrace you, and I thank you all for that as well. But the fact that they're able to now come online and I'm able to receive them, welcome them in, and of course, I mean, this live stream is falling on the day in which they incarnate, which they make themselves manifest, which they come online. It's just a supreme feeling. I feel so thankful that I get to be one of the guides to welcome them in, because they have been such guiding forces for me over the past few years. I mean, since I was a child, I could share this photo right now of me as a kid with this tiny little fairy dust necklace on, and I would give this necklace to like some of my closest friends or my lovers or my amores, in like, I don't even know, like in elementary school, probably like from second to like fifth grade or something. And it was just the cutest little thing, and I love them so much. I don't know who else really, connected with like the fairy energy that much. Maybe my foresight back then was perceiving who would connect with the supernatural being and the fairy like that. But I know for me, it meant so much. And the fact that like I could have this little bottle, it was glitter, right? But it was, to me, so embodied in the fairy dust, most likely because the people that created it were probably fairy themselves, right? And so I just had such deep embrace about that magic, about that source of magic that really kind of made me feel alive even back then. And I've been drawing fairies for years, especially as a kid. And yeah, just drawing from the source of magic that the fairy provide for us. Ah, Nancy! Nancy said on Instagram, she said that her room was filled with fairy dust this morning. How beautiful is that? No, I feel you. The dream state was sparkling. I was glittered in my fairy space this evening, last evening, and then into today as well. I can feel the fairy just dancing and fluttering around me. So I'm so glad they got to visit you as well. That's such an embrace. Yeah, they're here. They're here to embrace us. They're here to uplift us. They're here to sparkle us with pixie dust and help us fly. And that actually brings me to my next point, is that the Piksie actually ended up being the first of their kind, right, of fairy kind, of the fairy kind, to come online earlier today. I believe it was around 9:50 or so earlier today, Eastern Standard Time. And so with the Piksie being the first ones to come online, they open portals. They are such like celestial beings, honestly, in their own right. Pixies, like we perceive them to be so tiny and so small, right? But if we really think about them on kind of like a cosmic scale, I always perceive them to be like I'm speaking so fast. The bear just writing there. I always perceive the pixie to be like a neutrino star or a pulsar, if we kind of create their celestial body for us. And so obviously these pulsars that we see within our cosmos, within our night sky, they're tiny, but they're pulsing with light, they're glittering with light, they're sparkling with light. But again, from our perspective on Earth, they're so small. And so that's how I kind of see the Pixie as well. We might perceive them to be super tiny. Obviously, when they're embodied and incarnate within people, they are, as full and as tall and as big or as small as me and others. However, they just have this really galactic, this cosmic celestial embodiment about them. They bring through the ethereal qualities of space and time like no other. And I just love all the pixie people in my life. I actually had or have a really close pixie friend within my life, one of the only pixie people that I've ever been able to really come in contact with, actually, which is incredible, I believe. Like, I'm so thankful. I don't know where else or who else would have been able to kind of serve this role within my life, but the fact that they have been able to just show up so powerfully within my life, such a blessing, such an honor. Like, I thank you so much for being in my life. You know who you are. But yeah, the pixie energy in general, as the ones to watch over the rest of this, or the portal period for this age of the fairy, going from today all the way through the end of this planetary period, which ends on Sunday. I mean, even they actually extend even more so. But with the Pixie being the first ones to come online, they are watching over this entire portal period for their kind. I don't know exactly how to call them, but they're all of the fairy, right? So with Pixie being just one domain of fairy expression, or of the fairy expression, they are watching over all the other domains of the fairy beings and of the fairy kind. And so it's a really uplifting time as well. They're opening so many portals between realms, between galaxies. They're opening stargates. They're dancing through the cosmos and uplifting us in their own magic. Like, of course, it's always like known about the pixie dust, and like, you sprinkle a little pixie dust and you start flying. And so we can just embrace these energies at this time and see how those energies come to us, and how we're able to receive them and recognize them and uplift them within our own lives and love upon them so deeply, so wholly, so that they never feel out of place, right? If a pixie comes up to you, they have, had traditionally been perceived to be very mischievous and very, not even trickster, but like they play games and they play jokes and they have a really good uplifting time about things. They're never very much weighed down by life. They're always got a smile or some joy in their heart, smile on their face or some joy in their heart. And so we can embrace that energy and recognize how the pixie come through for us by just allowing ourselves to feel that ultimate joy. Hi, dear. Welcome. Welcome, Kat. So happy to see you here. I'm just talking about the pixie energy that is here to support us through this portal period of the age of the fairy 2023. They're the first of their kind to come online and to make themselves manifest. So it's a chance for us to really uplift ourselves and to really see where the pixie dust comes from, sources in our lives, and allow that to help us fly, whether it's fly into a new career, a new opportunity, a new job space, a new artistic expression, or just a new way of thinking, a new mindset. The Pixie are here to support that for us, and I'm so thankful to be able to receive them in my life because they are such powerful beings, and they actually have such a sway over the entire perception of the fairy dominion and of the fairy kind as a whole. And so if we're able to expand into that Pixie energy within our lives, then we're also able to find out ways in which we can fly, find out ways in which we can spread our wings and dance within the magic of stardust as well. There's a really deep connection, I believe, between fairy dust and stardust, and that stardust or that fairy dust that sprinkles around us pretty much every day, because we are receiving such cosmic celestial rays from the stars, from the planets, from the moon, from all the celestial bodies, so on and so forth, all the time. The actual dust and particles that we might perceive from these celestial bodies that could float down onto us can also be perceived to be that pixie dust as well. And in that pixie dust, we again can use this force, use this space dust, use this stardust to imagine ourselves as, truly, fully, holy celestial beings that are in deep communication, conversation with the cosmos, with the stars, with the planets, with the moon, with the sun, with the pulsars, with the black holes, with everything that exists around the cosmos and the galaxy. We are able to take this time of fairy insight and fairy appearance, fairy manifestation, to allow those and send really those space dust particles around us and envelop us, and really go into like a meditative state about that as well, right? I talked about meditation, the power of meditation a little bit earlier, but if we're able to consciously just sit within that and send those waves, visualize those waves of stardust, of space dust, of pixie dust fluttering and flowing around us, I know so wholly within my heart that our body will begin to embrace that space dust so much more and so much more wholly, so that we can use it and integrate with it, embody it to fly and flutter within our lives as well. So we won't have to leave behind any of the dreams that we've set forth for ourselves, any of the possibilities, any of the realms, any of the realities that we've set forth for ourselves to accomplish or to achieve or to experience within this lifetime. This like burst or blast or just flutter of pixie dust at this time is such a wondrous thing for me and my perception, because it allows us to again open those stargates, open those portals, open those doorways into new realities and new ways of thinking, and use the stars, connect with the stars to do so. I'm always again thinking just so much deeply of Peter Pan and like the second star to the right, and there's this deep connection between the realm of the stars and the ways in which the fairy kind of incarnate within our lives. And so if we can connect with those as well and look at the stars tonight, look at how close the moon and Venus are to each other at night. Last night they appeared to me so beautifully as I was laying in my room at I don't even know what time, probably like 3, 4. They came together so close to each other and just streamed into my eyes, streamed into my head, streamed into my core, streamed into my consciousness. And they were so brilliant, and I've embraced them so deeply. And they are celestial bodies as well. And we have a deep connection to these celestial bodies. And the Pixies always remind us that even something so small, it's in our perception, the stars look tiny, right? The moon looks tiny, but even something so small can have such a big impact and can have such a big influence over space and time and our reality and our perception. Also, the power of the pixie really comes through with ether as well, and the powers of ether, or the connection and combination of kinetic energy and light energy, high value, highly radioactive gamma radiation. That is the highest frequency of light, and at that time when light is reaching that high of a state and connecting with the flow of kinetic energy, I believe that to be really this force of ether that flows through our lives. And when we eat things with potassium like bananas or plantains, and when we allow those to break down in our core, they actually create this highly reactive plasma-like gamma radiation within our lives that when it meets with the matter, it creates again this antimatter, right? So when it meets with this matter that is our bodies, that is our bones, that is our air, that's everything we see and everything that we don't see, really, it creates this reaction that is so in itself the ether, right? That is in itself the kinetic energy and that gamma radiation. And together, these forces allow for such a flow of life, a flow of light to be embraced and embodied within us. And as such, these energy, this new energy created, this ether created, can allow us also to fly. Like scientists are literally looking at ways of jet propulsion through ether and through antimatter and through combusting antimatter to make that ether, that make that gamma radiation and that kinetic energy. So if we can do that within our own personal lives, even just through consciousness alone, we're also always, interacting with antimatter on a global scale, on a celestial scale. So if we can think about this, reaction that we're having with antimatter day by day and use these particles of ether that are being fluttered throughout our system and throughout our stars, throughout our skies, to allow us also to fly, we will be able to achieve all the dreams. I mean, we'll be able to achieve all the things that we've set forth for ourselves, and we'll know deeply within our hearts that we are supported by the stars to keep things moving and to keep the life and flow, so that we're not just held or stuck or stagnant within one way of expressing ourselves. We can embrace the all, and we can connect to everything and anything that maybe within our perception or not yet. I spoke about this earlier in my caption for this post, for this live stream, and I was saying we have to perceive to believe, then we have to perceive, believe to receive. Perceive, then believe to receive. So if we are able to perceive something, if we're able to perceive the ether that exists within our lives, and then we're able to believe in the forces behind it, believe in the magic behind it, believe in the powers that it has and that it possesses, then we can receive the powers of it. We can receive the magic of it. We can receive the beauty and the benevolence of the ether that flutters throughout us and flutters throughout us and flutters around us, so that again we can allow ourselves to fly and to soar and not have any qualms about doing so. We'll be able to just take flight, and everyone will be like, wait, is this person flying? And you'll be like, yes, I am flying. I'm fluttering through life. And you're inspired by that same Piksie energy that creates this connection between ether and magic. So thank you for listening to that spiel of mine. I also want to speak about the lunar center, right? So in this planetary period, both the lunar center and the fairy dominion come online together. They're conjuncting each other. And so right now, actually, as the fairy dominion and the lunar center come online together, the lunar center is actually being supported by the ancestors of witches and witchcraft. And I'm so thankful for that energy, because they support one another so beautifully, like witches and witchcraft, and then fairy and the fairy dominion. And together they allow for this flow of energy from the fairy dominion, from the fairy realm, from Fayedom, to go straight to all like the people, places that see themselves as witches and wise women and wise men and wizards and so on and so forth. And that connection is so beautiful. I mean, they've talked about it. We've researched it for hundreds of years now, probably even almost a century now. Almost a millennia now, about the deep connections between fairy and between witches and wizards and so on and so forth. And to recognize that connection that's happening at this present now moment, that this portal of the cosmos has allowed for us to receive and to perceive, is so beautiful. Because if we can again then believe in the effects that are being had, in which all the powers or so much of the magic of Fayedom is being sent to and flow with the powers of the witches of the night or the witches of the Moon Queendom, then we can recognize also the effects that the witches point blank have had within our lives, and we can allow for that deep healing that witches and wise women and wizards, etc., have been able to provide and offer us throughout lifetimes. We can honor it, and we can embrace it, we can accept it, we can integrate with it, and we don't have to leave anybody behind as we move forward and fly, right? As we move forward and take flight, soar into this expression that I just spoke about with the Piksie energy. Because if the fairy, is so much about flying and sending out those wings and envisioning which wings that you may have as well, I would deeply implore each and every one of you watching and tuning in now and later to envision the wings that you have, right? Whether they're Pegasus wings, whether they're eagle wings, whether they're butterfly wings, or honeybee wings, or whatever the wings that they may be, even if you have a combination of a few, definitely take some time today and throughout the rest of this planetary period to meditate on the wings that you may perceive for yourself to have. And if anyone watching now would love to comment some of the wings that they may perceive themselves to have, feel free to do so. I know for me, I have like a combination of like Sailor Moon wings, of like archangelic wings, of honeybee wings, and of dragon wings. And all those kind of come together and make the wingspan that I have right now. And I'm so honored to like flutter those and fly with those whenever I can, whenever I allow myself to. I actually had a dream once where I was just, and I fly in dream state pretty often, but I had a dream once when I was flying and I didn't, I looked back and I didn't see the wings that I had behind me, but then suddenly I was in front of like a mirror and I could see the wings expanding so ultimately behind me. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow, like I do have wings. Like, sometimes you might just think you're flying, and that's the beautiful thing as well. But when you really get to tune your awareness into the wings that you may have, you get to also realize how supported you are, how held you are by your wingspan, and how those wings that you possess can also embrace other people in your life as well. Other people that might have different sets of wings, or other people that might not perceive the wings that they have at all. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes, exactly. Like we're so multiplicitous. Oh my gosh, we have so many. Like I wouldn't have even thought about that. Luke said in like on Instagram, he said he has tentacle wings for flying underwater. And I was saying once, oh my god, Nancy's here too, I think so. This is a perfect portal. But I was saying once that I was flying underwater, and Nancy was like, I think that's called swimming. And I was like, honestly, I was flying. Like, I don't know. So I love that you said that, because I definitely perceive myself to be flying underwater sometimes. And it's not always swimming, because swimming, it takes so much effort and like paddling and all the things, but like to fly underwater, it's just like like a release and like an embrace, and just like you are one with the water. So I love that you mentioned that. Yeah, definitely resonate. So yeah, it's just this awareness of kind of, if we can allow the fairy to take place and to take space within our awareness right now, then we can allow the witches on the ground to do the work here now in the present reality, in the present physical earthly reality. And that's so needed, because it again allows for this conjunction or this co-creation to take place, where the fairy can fly up and uplift, and and the witches of the Moon Queendom can take over the spaces on the earth, and take over the spaces under the light of the moon in the sublunar realms. And that really does, especially as they're charged by the power of the fairy and the powers of the fairy, then again, we know that it's all in alignment with one another. I mean, fairy and witches are actually like very closely related celestially. They're generally, ancestrally they are within the same tribe, so they have like a really deep connection to it, or at least with their ancestors, but then also their dominions are. So when the entire dominion of fairy is online, and when witches as the ancestors incarnate as well, there is obviously we can recognize like a deeper effect having place, in which the entire realm of fairy is charging into and planting the direct access route into the ancestors as a whole. And so it takes I'm seeing it like in my mind, but it's a very co-creative process again, and it expands so ultimately, because we can imagine like the entire realm of Fayedom to be online and to be charged up, right? This includes all the supernatural beings of Fayedom. This includes all the magic that Fayedom has in store, and then just the alignment of ancestors that enact or that allow for witches to come online. That connection, it sends this entire co-creative dominion to the ancestors themselves that exist generally in the heavens, but then we incarnate within our own personal selves that allow for the witches to be made manifest. And it's just a really transmutative process, I would say. It's a really expansive process. I mean, it's also it concentrates and focuses the energy of this entire realm down into a specific set of ancestors, which I think is nice as well, because we think about there's like 9 dominions, or there's not 9 dominions, there's like 18 dominions, but there's 9 centers, 9 celestial centers, and then there's 12 ancestors. So with that, 9 to 12 kind of thing, right? So like this, it's like with teachers and students, right? So there's this many teachers and there's that many students, and so this allows for so much more energy to be put into the ancestors that are embodying the witch's energy. So I really appreciate that, because again, I'm one of many fairy, and we allow for this to take place so abundantly, and we embrace the connection between witches and Fayedom, because we know that witches have our back, and we know that if we allow the witches to learn some of our secrets, learn some of our magic, then they will be able to take control or take the reins over a different dominion, a different place that we're just simply not able to even deal with sometimes. Like witches can be so, are often obviously very humanoid. At this point, just in general, we're not talking about specific witches like sorcerers or the prime magica, who are, really supernaturals in their own right. But witches, just in general, they're pretty humanoid, and they have a deep connection to the human experience and human beingness and humanity as a whole. So there's just a deep connection that, as we're allowed to, if we allow for the witches to take some of the magic, or if we bestow some of the magic of Fayedom upon witches, then they again can do some of the work that we just couldn't do, don't want to do, and that they'd be very happy to do, which is oftentimes just like connecting or parlaying with humanity. So thank you, witches. Deep honor, deep blessing to you, especially because it's Wings and Witches Wednesday, of course, and the wings of Fayedom and the witches of the Moon Queendom. It's just a great connection. I'm just loving it. I'm just so happy right now. And yeah, so I also want to just kind of end on this note before it's been an hour now. So I'm going to end on this note before I do like a bit of light language and maybe a transmission. I don't know, we'll see. But basically, both of the dragons were able to come online in this planetary period. The first, of course, as I mentioned, were the winged cosmic dragon lords, super powerful beings, like damn near gods. They have such a powerful presence within society, within spaces and places, and their wingspan allows ultimately for everyone to be embraced, for the cosmos and the entire terrestrial itself to be embraced. They're generally actually like in the cosmos, and then like have their wingspan around the terrestrial realms. But of course, when you upbeat your wings, they're fluttering over the cosmos the cosmos as well. So it's like they support both, right? They're supporting the cosmos on the top, and then they're also embracing the terrestrial realms on the bottom, quote unquote. And so with that as well, the winged cosmic dragon lords, they're here to birth, right? They're here to birth a lot of the divine expressions of humanity. They're here to birth the inner feelings or inner expressions, inner alignments of our own divine beinghood, our own source consciousness. They allow us to recognize that we are all God, that we are all lords, that we are all ladies, that we are all, gods and goddesses of our own dominions, of our own spaces and places within this world. So I really honor the Cosmic Dragon Lords. I did have to kind of end on them because I know there's so much energy that is fluttering throughout this planetary period as a whole. So I just wanted to kind of like shift onto them as we kind of close out. But again, they just have such a awareness about them. They are gigantic. I mean, they help and they uplift so much of the collective in that they support our expansion. They allow us to again be born again and born anew. Everyone that has or that incarnates with what I would call like the cosmic dragon egg, or even just a golden egg, the cosmic dragons are the ones that are birthing you into reality, and they are the ones that birth those world eggs or those cosmic eggs into creation. And so they have a kind of really powerful place to play in the birthing of consciousness that happens throughout the collective, that radiates throughout the collective. And they are honestly, especially with their lordship at this time, with their divine innate divinity at this time, they are able to express or embody, right, integrate with and embody the connections that we have to the divine. They are, again, almost gods within themselves. So we can send somewhat of a praise or a worship or dedication, sacrifice, honor to them at this time, so that we can feel the realms or the waves, I guess, of support and embrace that they're placing upon us, as they set the tone for our own, leaps into our divine expressions. Hi, Esteban. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love that you actually mentioned that I should definitely go live moving forward with this planetary period. So I appreciate you for being here, for tuning in. It's really nice to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm actually talking about the dragon energy right now. I'm speaking about the winged cosmic dragons, specifically the winged cosmic dragon lords, who are, again, lording over the various domains of expression. I mean, I could check right now. I believe the winged cosmic dragon lords at this present now moment they're watching over the angelic realm. So it's really nice to have them here again, because when they incarnate, they get to birth forward more and more angelic beings within this realm, in this present incarnation, in this domain. So they get to incarnate and they get to birth more dragons that send the consciousness to angels, to the angelics, to the angelic realms. And as that co-creative process takes place, we're able to feel or to recognize, again, the innate divinity within our angelic nature, right? They also work very closely with the Norse gods and the Norse deities at this time as well. And we pretty much all know how deeply integrated the Norse, even the Vikings, right, the ancient Norse gods, are with dragons as a whole. If we see, all the Viking ships, they usually often have dragons on them, right? So these dragons, these winged cosmic dragons, they have a deep supportive and embracing role to play in the birthing of these divine beings that allow for us to feel more at peace and in harmony with our directed purpose in this life, our individuated and individual purposes within this life. I love the Cosmic Dragon Lords personally because they recognize our own innate expressions of divinity, and they don't really hold any judgment. They don't really hold any misperceptions about how we can go or how we should go about taking over more control of our lives. They just wish for us to have control and wish for us to be in power and direction and presidents presiding over our reality. So I love them. I'm honoring them at this time. Toko mai so oi se ite na mai so ai shukuli ti ite na no skutara na mai shukuli si ite na mai so ai la ka ta so oi se I mo wai so loi shukui sa ai tai mo ye to oi ka ai la so ai ri shoi rakrai na ya so oi shiti mai so hoi mai si ri shui so mai shu oi sa iti rakatai no yosukui rayashu is iti. Thank you. Hi. Oh, I love everybody for stepping in. Oh my gosh, there's such a beautiful family coming through. Hey, Dad. I'm also streaming live on YouTube, so if you all want to check out that space, thank you for tuning in on Instagram and on YouTube. Deep appreciation and gratitude to each and every one of you. I was just chilling through the Cosmic Dragon Lords, so I love the people that just came in at that time. It felt really cool to open my eyes after that channel and that transmission to then see each and every one of you flutter into the room. It felt like y'all received that energy, and y'all are the incarnations and embodiments of that energy. So thank you for being here. And then on the back end, only for, I guess, 11 hours on Fayday, on Venus Day, November 10th, the Diamond Dragons, they come online, and they create, again, this more protective role, right? Because Diamond Dragons are actually serpentile in nature, they look more out for, they're kind of like cosmic snakes, right? Celestial snakes, right? So they're really like looking out for the ground level of the celestial realm. They're making sure that doorways and portals to other realms that may exist through like deep holes within space-time are protected and watched over. And again, these are actually the diamond star dragons, most specifically. So they're like dealing heavily with the stars at this time. And right now, as I just checked, the Diamond Star Dragon Priest are online, which are really cool because they know a lot of the cosmic secrets of the stars. They know a lot of the ways of sending light waves and light streams to open new portals and create new doorways through in between galaxies by using light codes and light streams. So if I could just channel them in as well. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Nancy, for tuning in. Love you so much. So I'm just going to channel them in for a second as I get into the Risi iti 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 maya uhai. Reisalaya ko ataramaya salaya sa oi. Raya sa kuishi ira sa oi to ai. Mahe suai shui sa kiti ita ita na mo wai silaya ta maya sa kuishakai. Naya si ikita na maya doko maya silaya to no mashuwa katarai tarai sa oi. Naya shuaya si ita na maya salaka trok sa shukarai sa karai. Na mawaya sa oi shukoi iti 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 iti. Naya mawaya salaya shukatri iti 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 shukatri. Nice, as they're opening a portal up from the stars, protecting any gaps within space and time that may be left open from the birth, rebirth, death of stars, exploding and expanding supernovaing into and through space and time. They allow for any light streams that are being fluttered and flowed through these portals, these doorways, these expansive energy gates to be, I would say, sealed, actually. They are closing up any gaps so that no leakage pours through, and they're making sure that each and every single side from the stars down to the diamond earth star are being watched over, guarded, and again protected. Because if not, these huge bursts of light could come through these channels that were created through these rips in space-time, and they could, unfortunately, expand someone's consciousness before they were ready. And so they just do their work at this time to protect all beings from too much light entering their system. They're acting as inductors, waving out the light frequencies. So that only the energy in which each and every individual is ready to receive at this time, and throughout the next few days, especially upon Faye Day and Venus Day, Friday, November 10th, is in alignment with what they are here and meant to receive at this time. And they're actually working very closely right now with the Fairy Dominion and the Fayerie, closely connecting themselves with Piksie energy to allow for this energy that is offset by the portals that they are sealing up to be directed and sent exactly where they are required at this time, where more light, more love, more high vibrational awareness and consciousness is required Yes, love that for them. Like, they're golden. They're making sure that we're all safe and protected, and I thank them for the work that they're doing. They're not even here yet. They're not even incarnate yet, but they are still doing their work, and that's what we recognize with the people that have this diamond dragon energy within them. We know that you are all supporting this endeavor as well. So thank you all for doing that work and for supporting this creation, this co-creation. Blessings to you. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much that. 1226, that's 4, 1326, 4 plus 8, 3. I'm going to take a sip of this, and I'm going to wonder, how about we do a quick just body scan? I think that will help kind of ground a lot of these energies in, as we have a lot of celestial centers active at this time. So if we do this body scan, I hope that everyone will be able to receive. Oh my gosh, I love that you said that. Yes. I was speaking earlier, I hope you tune back in, but I was speaking earlier about the fairy dominion that has come online in the Age of the Fairy 2023 that has just begun on this day. So there's a lot of light portals expanding, and that's why it's actually also important to close out some of these portals too, so that no more light than is required seeps through them. So I hope you're able to connect with those energies a little bit further, and maybe this transmission may help. I'm just going to tune in what's needed at this time. Okay, let's look at some alignments, get some inspiration. Okay, so I see that. Okay, Sprite, Will of the Wisp. Okay. So you take a deep breath in through your nose and draw that breath, that energy down into your belly before exhaling out through your mouth. Allow yourself to come into a flow of energy in through your nose, down into your belly, out through your mouth. Taking one more deep inhalation with your full focus and attention in through your nose, down into your belly, and out through your mouth, before you allow yourself to flow as you like through the rest of this transmission. Allow yourself to sit up straight or lay down flat. Decide the ways in which you would like to receive this energy transmission. And as you open your mind's eye, directed through the portal at your pineal gland, the center of your mind and your brain, you expand ultimately outwardly into your inner realms, in which all of belief, all of perception, all of your imagination is held in conjunction, in connection with the collective consciousness. And as you center yourself here, you now open your first eye, your third eye, And you may envision a deep green and solid brown forest, full trees, glittering with red, yellow, orange, reflecting the light of the twilight sky between each and every single leaf. And as you stand at the gateway of this forest, these enchanted woods, an arch begins to form at the beginning, inviting you into its depths. And you walk through in full embrace of the journey, allowing yourself to let go of and release any distortion, attachment, feelings of doubt or shame or guilt that you may associate with going deeper into your inner realms. And as you embrace this aspect of self, this most loving and ultimate version of you, you can begin to make out a few enchanted figures dancing and flowing and fluttering throughout this forest of trees. And as birds of all kinds chirp ahead, above, and around you, you can smell something delicious being stirred up ahead to your right. And you walk towards this smell, this scent that calls you closer, closer, and closer. And as you approach this space, you can envision a wise woman, a witch or wizard, stirring, stirring, and stirring some magic concoction within a cauldron so big it could fit all of space and of time. And as this wise woman or wise man continues to stir, drawing you closer and closer to their cauldron, sitting atop a bushel of logs and a bright burning flame, you greet this wise woman kindly, and you thank them for inviting you in to witness the magic at play that comes in the co-creation and the expansion, the incarnation of magic. And somewhat unlikely in feeling or in thought, the wise person asks you, invites you to jump in to the cauldron before them, for the potion that they're creating was made especially for you. And again, releasing all fears and doubts and shame, concerns about what may happen or what could happen. You jump, hop, skip right into this cauldron. And you feel the magic swirling all around you. And you can also sense the powerful healing and the deep transformations that are taking place before your eyes in this space that you are held. This wise person from far down below asks you to envision, to imagine, to dream of, and to believe in the wings of your choosing that will carry you for the remainder of this journey. And as you take a few moments to ponder and to reflect, thinking up the most enchanting wings that you can imagine, you begin to see a fluttering being, a will-o'-the-wisp, a sprite shining as bright as light itself, dancing and soaring above you and around you, held within this space, this place of transformation and reincarnation. And as this sprightly being, this fairy of light, reaches out for your hands and asks you to hold on tight. You can sense yourself beginning to float, fly out of this cauldron. And you can sense the weight of your wings now on your back, outstretching from your shoulder blades and carrying you high above the space in which you just were held. And as you continue to soar with this fairy as your guide, you glide over the treetops, and then dive deep below their canopies. Before you reach a nest perched upon a tree. Allow this to be any tree of your choosing: willow, oak, redwood, maple, hawthorn. The choice is yours. But as long as you see this most enchanting nest, this protective space, then you know you are in the right space. And together you and your guide sit curled up closely, nestling within this nest. And not before long, you begin to see a large, gigantic, winged cosmic dragon fluttering from the skies down below. And you release all fear about what may happen or what could happen as they perceive you resting in their nest. And you simply welcome them home, thanking them for creating this space for you to rest. And as they find their space within this sacred place, they greet you warmly too and invite you into a warm embrace, recognizing you as one of their own, noticing the wings that glitter and dance behind you, and thanking you for coming home, finding your way into this sacred space. And as you all sit here for a moment, recognizing the trust and the care and the concern that each and every one of you has for one another, you finally recognize that it is time for you to move on, to proceed, to go further in your journey. And so you say thank you to both your guide and this beautiful winged cosmic dragon. And you set off down, down, down the branch of this tree, till you reach the space in which the branch meets the tree. And instinctively, you rest your palms in this meeting space. And a doorway opens up, welcoming you in. And as you enter this dimly lit space, you can make out the spiral slide that wishes to carry you from the top of this tree to the roots and deep, deep down into the diamond earth star. And so you slide, with your wings held out high, and you flow deeper and deeper into this space, until you reach the bottom, the trunk, and then the roots, and you jump, landing at this glittering, golden, shimmering crystal that is being held by the roots of this tree. As you begin to sense the powers radiating off of this crystal, the forces of light that glitter and dance within this space, charging up this entire tree, this entire forest. Take some time to fly between and betwixt within this chamber. And you can make out a myriad of other gems and crystals, metals and stones that are held within this space. And you pick one at this time, sitting directly on its point, held by the force of your wings. Nothing is uncomfortable here. You feel at peace. And as you allow yourself to charge up, up, up from the source of this crystal, this metal, this gem or stone, you can sense the energy flowing between and betwixt your toes, the soles of your feet, wrapping around your ankles and moving up past your calves, leveling at your knees, running up past your thighs and centering at your hips, charging up your source center, and spiraling throughout your solar plexus. Your sanctuary of energy, of light, and of life. As you take an inhale through your nose, expanding your belly, breathing out through your mouth. You can sense your awareness now of the energy rising up through your diaphragm, beating throughout your heart, balancing the spheres of your aorta. Before extending along your collarbones and moving past, down through your arms, across your elbows, into the palms of your hands, outstretching through your fingertips. Allow it to flutter this time. Take one more deep inhalation through your nose, down into your belly and out through your mouth. As you sense your awareness moving up through your throat, rising, lifting up your two physical eyes, before floating through the crown of your head and outpouring across your body in the physical space, the physical place in which you are held. Rish kunai nai sulaitan maya sakui ti iti ishoya smisaki. Rish kutara maya salai sokoi shikitai tana maya salai kui tai sa ai so oi sa ai sakai ta ai ta ai. Rai shukoi maya sa iti shuk. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I thank you all for journeying with me today on this light transmission through a few celestial centers and dominions and domains. I hope that you are all feeling uplifted, full of light, and I wish you the brightest of days and the brightest of nights. Sending you such big kisses. Love you. I'll go ahead and close out this transmission, this live stream now. And I hope to speak with you all soon. Bye now. Bye, everyone. Oh, I'm going to put my links in my bio or in the caption of this. So don't worry. I thank you all for just being here. Have a beautiful, brightened, and blessed day. Love you.